Welcome to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Tonight, I am joined by Travis Sparks, and we are going to cover his story of how he found the Lord Jesus Christ, cover his career. Travis describes himself in a really cool way. He's a father, he's a husband, follower of Christ, he's a punk rocker, and a skateboarder. So, Travis, welcome to the show, brother. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, man, it's an honor. I'm glad we finally got
Hey,
connected and
thanks,
can make
brother.
this
I'm glad to
happen.
be here. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how,
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
the Lord works in mysterious ways, how he linked us up. I think it's good stuff. And I think
Amen. Yeah, amen, brother.
it's going to be a long brotherhood from
Why don't
here
you tell us
forward, I
about
believe.
kind of, where you're from? I'm in Tennessee, as you can tell from the hat. Kind of tell us where you're from and maybe a little bit about your childhood, how school was, if you played sports, and then where you kind of went from school.
Yeah. So, I'm a military brat. My dad was a veteran. He was Army and then Navy. I was born premature. I was born at 6.5 months. Wasn't expected to live past about 7. That prompted my dad to give his life back to Christ. So there was a whole bargaining um, between him and God in the ambulance, while they were transporting me from Kentucky up to Cincinnati. So, so he goes back in the Navy, and then that prompts my life. I've lived all over the world, from California to Maine. I lived in Scotland for a while. Actually started high school over there. That got me into soccer. I
Dude,
don't want to hear
Nashville
any
loves
judgment
soccer, man.
about you people,
I can't say anything.
soccer, but I love soccer because I love it just because it was one of the first things I was exposed to
Hmm.
as a young child. Just the energy over there is completely different than here, kind of mob mentality type thing. But anyway, so kind of lived all over. So moved every, I don't know, 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, something like that. We were uprooting and gone again. I'm a travel light, freeze at night kind of guy. Live out of a backpack. I can up and so we end up in Georgia, and about halfway through my high school career, and complete culture shock to me, man. Living all over the world, and I got put in a little small town, kind of redneck. I'm not, you know. So it was interesting. Sports, I played football a little bit up north before I realized what football really is
Hmm.
down here. When we moved down here, I found out at the South, football is a whole different thing. And I've
Okay.
been in Georgia now for 30, 30 some years. So, um, yeah, brought up, Pentecostal. So United Pentecostal, I've brought up. So we did, church
Hmm.
twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday, stop in on Monday, everybody on Tuesday kind of thing. And that's sort of the childhood part. I'm in South Georgia now. Been in law enforcement now this is my 25th year.
Okay.
So
Yeah, well, I played soccer as
that's
a
kind
kid
of
too, and
kept
my
me
little boy plays
right here
soccer,
in
so I
South
won't make
Georgia
fun
for
of
the
you.
most part.
Nice. So is mine. That's funny. My little boy's at practice. Well,
And
it's almost time. It's
he's
time.
at
It's
soccer
6.
practice
He'll be
right
there at
now,
6. So
actually.
pretty close. That's funny.
Yeah,
We got
he's
way too much
finishing
in
up.
common,
He's
man.
finishing up right now, probably. So they'll
That's
be headed
wild.
back before too
That's
long.
wild.
I'm telling you, man. I was having this conversation with
I mean,
another
I try.
Tennessee friend of mine
Yeah,
today, and
we
I was
talked
like, it
before.
doesn't make
I
any
kind of grew
sense.
up the same way, all over the place. My dad was career
It just
Army,
doesn't
so
make
it's
sense.
funny, man. But yeah, and I ended up in a small town, in Smyrna, Tennessee, from Stuttgart, Germany. So I can relate to a lot of the stuff you probably dealt with growing up, man. So.
Yes. Yeah, same kind of things. So,
Well, let's talk about this real fast.
man,
So your dad's career
see,
military,
journey back to
and
Christ, right? That's where
but
we're
you
at.
got into law enforcement. What I know, I had my reasons for going into law enforcement. What really pulled you into wanting to be in that career path? Hmm.
Well, actually, it was all my life I was planning I was going to go in the Army,
Hmm.
and uh, and I know I kind of sound like one of those dudes who's like, well, I almost did, but right as my dad retired, God bless his soul,
Wow.
he's passed on now, but right as he retired, he was diagnosed with ALS. So yeah, so I was planning on going in the Army. It was going to happen. That's what I was going to do.
Wow.
And he asked me, because he had been gone most of my life in the Navy. He was a nuke submariner. So
Hmm.
talk about the 80s. He was, off doing Cold War business, and so he was gone a lot of my childhood. So he had asked me to not go and just kind of see how this thing was going to progress for him. That way I wouldn't be gone and deployed, wherever. This was, uh, close to late 90s. So I'm like, all right, I'll do that. So I'm working some various jobs and end up in some white collar stuff down in Jacksonville, Florida. Easy job,
Mhm.
great money, hated it. It's not my group, you know. And so at this point, he had kind of just sort of leveled out. From what we're figuring out, he was going to be where he was going to be for a little while. And I'm 21 years old now, so I start talking to some guys I know, and I'm like, for me personally, at that point, I actually felt like I was going to be the old guy, just because my plan got delayed. I since have lived life and figured out that that's not old to go in, but
Mhm.
in my mind at the time, it was almost too late. So I kind of decide, well, what am I going to do if I can't do that, or I'm not going to do that? What am I going to do? So I start looking at kind of the next best thing, and that pointed me at law enforcement. I actually ended up from Jacksonville back up here in South Georgia because of a friend of mine who was another Navy brat. He'd actually got hired on at this department, and I used to come
How
party
far are
here
you away
as
from
a teenager, so I knew the
how far are
area
you from
anyway.
Florida? You're pretty close to
So I
Florida,
was like,
right?
yeah, and I'm from where?
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
Man, about 21 miles.
Greatest state in America.
Yeah, straight that way. But yeah, about 21 miles from the line, something like that. So yeah, yeah, I love it. You know,
Wow.
hindsight, I probably should have stayed in Florida and got on an agency there. I'd have been
Mhm.
retired 5 years ago, but I everything happens for a reason. So yeah, I jump up here to a department, start, have kicked around on patrol for a little bit. I did, I don't know, 3, 4 years, something like that on patrol.
Mhm.
I got pretty involved in, you know, goon stuff pretty quick. I was chasing dope and guns and doing that thing. I got moved to a street crimes unit. We worked solely nights. Did that for a while, a couple of years, I think. And from there, promoted up to narcotics and stayed in narcotics pretty much
Now, were
until,
you doing undercover stuff?
uh,
And obviously just say what you're comfortable saying, but okay.
yeah, yeah, no, I
Mhm.
have nothing like no real deep cover kind of thing. Just buys here and there, some prostitution things,
Got
stuff
you.
like that. Kind of in and out, one and done sort of things. I'm not,
Mhm.
you know, I am
Yeah.
definitely not that guy that's going to go live with a gang for X amount of time. But yeah, looking like I
Mhm.
looked, especially at the time. Now it's pretty common. I think most cops look like I do now, but at the time I was creating tattoo policies pretty much everywhere I went. So kind of did that. In that, got married, had my first daughter, and I was a wreck, man. We probably shouldn't have ever been married. No hard feelings against her or anything like that, but it was just real bad timing in my
Okay.
career. Nothing real crazy. It just kind of just didn't work. She moves off to Texas, where she was from, and my daughter goes with her at
Wow.
about, let's see, she's been
Yeah, I can't
about 4
imagine.
years old. So yeah, so that was rough. Yeah, we made it work though. Made it work. She's doing great. Matter of fact, she's
That's
back
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
in the kingdom. She
How old's your
recently
daughter?
gave her life back to Christ. So it's awesome, man. Yeah.
19. Okay.
19. Yeah. So I've got, well, let me jump forward a little bit. So that split, kind of do my thing. I meet my wife now, and she was introduced to me through a buddy of mine that was, he was an Air Force cop, security forces. Any of you safe side guys are out there. I know they scream and rave about that stuff. But he was awesome, dude. Probably one of my best friends in my whole life.
Mhm.
Had his battled his demons, he gets out and his addiction progresses from pills to
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to hear
heroin,
that.
which ended up ultimately he overdosed from heroin, overdosed from fentanyl. Yeah. So that was kind of rough. So that was one of the
Mhm.
steps in my life that just had me super jaded. I mean, you were a cop. I mean, it don't take long. Usually in about 6 months
Mhm.
you see
Yeah, yeah.
something that has your faith rattled. You know what I mean? Like you see that thing and it just you start asking
Yeah.
questions, the enemy gets a hold of you, and next thing you know, you're just not going to church
Mhm.
anymore.
Yep.
My excuse was always, my schedule just doesn't, I need to catch up on
Yeah.
sleep if
Yeah.
I'm off or whatever. That was my excuse. That was me running. So kind of in that career, I had another partner of mine. He died by suicide. So he was a veteran, worked
Okay.
with us,
Okay.
and we were on narcotics together. He was another Tennessee guy, another guy from Memphis. I have this weird Tennessee connection in my life, and I was born in Kentucky, so that's almost
We don't
communism, I
we
think,
don't
where I come
consider
from.
we don't consider Kentucky part of the South, man.
I don't think we're supposed to like y'all. Right. You
Yeah,
see what I'm
yeah.
saying? Right. We got a star. And there's a star on the flag. So yeah, man. So there's that. Um, 2017, a longtime friend of mine comes out of the corporate world, had some corporate stuff happen, and he was raised in a cop family. I actually worked for his dad, one of my first commanders,
Wow.
old school dude. I think he
Yeah.
started in like 65 or something, just like OG guy. So his son is messaging me. He's like, "Man,
No
thinking I'm going to
kidding.
do law
Wow.
enforcement." And I'm like,
Why?
he
Why
was a
would you
bank
wanna do law
VP
enforcement?
before, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, you sure?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, they had you know how the corporate world is, man. Hostile takeover, kind of change of hands, whatever. So he's like, man, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, like I got money, I'm not really worried about that. I just think I want to do it. He grew up with his dad, doing it. His dad was hard as nails, man. So I'm like, at this point, I'm
Okay.
probably
Yeah.
in the 15-year range, 15, 16-year range in law enforcement.
What were you doing at that
So I'm
point?
pretty jaded.
Okay, okay,
You know what I
specialized
mean?
units, okay.
I'm pretty jaded at the time. I'm still doing specialized unit. Yeah, still doing specialized stuff. I pretty much stayed at that from about, let's see, from 5 to
Mhm.
19.
Yeah.
Pretty much you're right on through. So nights we call in on holidays, all that stuff. So I'm like, nah, bro, you don't want to do that. He prays about it, tells me he prays about it. He's like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, all right, bro, whatever. So he actually comes on to the agency I'm working at. And so 2017 happens, and he's responding to a call, and a
Yeah.
truck driver
Damn,
high
man, I'm
on
sorry.
oxys pulls out in front of him, and he dies. So yeah, so what started my I don't want to say downfall. I don't think I ever went completely off the rails, but what started my kind of when I was early on in the drug unit, one of my partners, we were doing a warrant one morning, and we breached the door. He started shooting. He fired 2 rounds. The first one, at the time, I wasn't sure where it hit my partner, but hit him in the hand. Kind of came down the side of his gun, canoed that out. Second one comes right behind it, head high in the door, just pretty as you please. I think there were 7 of us on the stack. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so I just grabbed him and dive off the porch. I thought he was like hit. So we'll leave them behind me to handle that. Leave them behind me to handle that. Get him down on the ground. And he's like, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. And he was, man. He just
Yeah.
had, it was
Hey
a flesh wound.
hey, Travis,
He
for
got,
our viewers that don't know,
like
can you
he got
explain
lucky.
what a stack is for them real
We
quick?
all did. So I mean, you've probably seen a really bad version of it
Miami
on like
Vice.
CSI or something. But when cops are, when cops are operators or whatever, they're stacked up kind of one behind the other, get ready to make entry into whatever, into a house, assault a vehicle, whatever the thing is. So my partner was the one guy, so he was in front, he would point, I was 2 right behind him. And then that happens. I kind of dive him off the porch,
Wow.
and he's good to go. Our other guys managed to take bad guy into
That is
custody.
crazy. He's
Rounds
lucky he's still
fired,
alive.
guy surrendered, like just crazy, right? So
No, I'm talking about the
yeah.
bad guy.
Angles,
Okay, okay.
angles. I
Yeah,
think probably saved him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about angles. I think is what saved him.
yeah.
Now you've ever been in a
Mhm.
house where you walk in the front door
Got you.
and it
Okay.
just goes one or two
Got
ways?
you.
Yeah, there's a wall. Yeah, he was deep left. So I think that's probably. I mean, I don't know. I was never in a position to, be that guy or whatever. So, but anyway, so that part started my. I went real bad off into like a us versus them, and then that became us versus regular cops, like
Mhm.
my kind of people and patrol guys, and then it became me against everybody. Nobody understands. Nobody knows what we deal with. Nobody sees this criminal element that we deal with. But I say all the time that when you join a specialized unit,
Mhm.
pretty rapidly, we know criminal elements like roughly 10% of a population, right? So give or take. But
Yep.
when that 10% becomes your 100%, and those are the only people you deal with, I wasn't doing regular traffic stops in a uniform. I never encountered normal civilians, I guess, or whatever. So I pretty rapidly kind of developed into this little spiral, just real negative,
Mhm.
real jaded, for lack of a better term, just kind of an ass, man. So some of that probably is what led to my first divorce. That leads to some rocky situations in my current marriage, but
That's
we
awesome,
are
man.
rocking and rolling. We have been together. This
Congratulations.
is
Yeah.
15
Yeah.
years this year, so we actually just passed 15 years. So really awesome. Yeah. So the cool part of that, we get together and she's got a daughter, and about the same age, actually a year and like 12 days older than my daughter. So they hit it off. They're like, best friends or whatever. And then
Yeah.
so I end up raising my oldest. That's my daughter. She's been with me since she was 5. And so she initially she was like, I'm gonna be a cop. I'm like, all right, cool. That's what you want to do.
Mhm.
But there's things, me personally, I don't push politics, religion, or anything on my kids. I want them to be
Right.
like me. I gotta learn the hard way. I gotta
Can we
pile
back
the
up?
ashes on my head. That's the only
Sorry,
way I
sorry, go
learn.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Keep going. I got a
So
question when you
she's
finish.
18. Yeah, but she's 18 and
Man,
I think 4 days old. 18
I
years
was
and
never
four
cut
days
out for
old, and
that,
she
dude.
starts at a jail down here.
Mhm.
So she rocks that on for, I don't know, somewhere about 7 months. Kind of comes to me and she's like, "Is it always like this?" Like what? She's like, politics and bad guys always trying to get over on you and all this stuff. Yep, yeah, that's it. She's like, "I don't think this
Mhm.
is gonna work for me." Okay, at least you've tried it. You checked that box.
Nice. Smart,
So
smart,
now
smart
what?
girl.
And she goes and now she's a
Yeah.
firefighter.
Go to Kroger all the
Yeah,
time.
naps and
Yeah.
video games,
So
right?
let me back up.
Or
Let me
whatever
back
it
up
is they
real
do,
quick, man. I
spaghetti
want to bring
night,
this up
and
because this is a
I don't
mental
know.
health podcast, men's mental
Yeah,
health
yeah, yeah.
podcast. And I've had some folks on here before that have talked about the first responder role, veteran role, and when it comes to mental health. When you were talking earlier, you've lost a lot of close people in your line of work and friends of yours. Did you have any kind of resources in place to help you, assist you deal with that kind of loss, that kind of trauma, especially when it came to someone taking their own life like that? I know we kind of went through that quick, and I like just kind of backtrack a little bit and just kind of get your feedback on that. Were those resources available to you at that time?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Man, if they were, I didn't know about them. And I'm going to blame that partially on, so the generation when I come up, when I started, all the head
Mhm.
shit,
Yeah.
all the old brass, the old bulls or whatever, those were all Vietnam dudes. You know what I mean? And historically, if you back that up and look, they were raised by World War II guys, and none of those people
Right.
got the
Right. Yeah.
resources they need to deal with the things that they dealt with. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm sure I mean, the common theme in law enforcement for the longest time, and it's
Yeah.
finally
Yeah.
turning, thankfully. But the common theme was, suck it up. You've heard it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's patches you
Embrace
can
the
buy.
suck.
Suck it up. Suck meter, no weak shit.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I have them.
Yeah.
There's probably some right up there, on my patch
Mhm.
panel up there. But I mean, I've been there. I've
Mhm.
done all
Yeah.
that stuff. I've
Yeah.
seen people quit, and I've talked trash about them. I ain't built for it, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you don't know what you don't know until you know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, so for me, the catalyst was in 2018. I'm on my specialized unit, doing SWAT stuff and working fugitive stuff. So we're just running and gunning all day.
I bet. Yeah.
A lot of spicy situations there in that unit. Yeah. So we're doing our thing. I'm out running errands all day. I'm off. I'm out running errands all day. I get home. My boy, my youngest, he's about 2 at the time, a little over 2. So I get home. My wife's been with him all day. It's right before my 40th
Okay.
birthday, which is my birthday's in November. Every so often it falls on Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday. Just for future reference, so you know. So yeah,
Mhm.
so I get home. I've been running these errands.
Mhm.
She's kind of razzled. She's had this 2-year-old all day, and we realize we have not bought a turkey yet, right? So I'm like, cool, no big deal. I got it. I thought I'm gonna take the boy. I'm gonna run up to the store, but I live in the middle of nowhere, so that's 15 miles or something up to the store. I'm gonna run up there and I'll go grab a turkey, get him out of here for a minute, and then we'll come back and kind of chill out. So right up here, half mile that way, there's an intersection. And I got him with me, and we're going through the intersection. I drive through it every day, 3, 4, 5 times a day. It's major highway, so 2 highways, country highways. I remember putting him right over here in my driveway. I remember putting him in the car, putting him in his car seat, and I remember getting in the driver's seat. The next thing I have is I'm in the middle of the highway. I look like the end of Carrie, there's blood everywhere. And I'm standing outside of my truck, kind of like, what just happened? And I look down and I mean, it just tore up. My arms tore all to pieces. I had to put a tourniquet on.
Jeez.
So I got to go get him out of the car. It's a whole mess. Cut this ear off, knocked out some teeth, broke this arm up into here. This one tore out, tore my biceps and all this stuff. Just a mess, But I kind of pushed through it, and I've had all the tactical training. Credit to one of my SWAT commanders for that. He used to throw tourniquets at us and yell at us if we didn't get them all fast enough. Uh,
Yeah.
I tell him actually every year that, hey, I appreciate that. That's probably the only reason I'm still here. That's probably the only logical reason I can come up with that I'm still here. Get him out of the car. Happens right in front of a gas station. The clerk knows me. He calls my wife. She's there in no time, because literally, I mean, at most 3/4 of a mile. And so I hand the boy off to her. I'm like, I'm gonna go lay down. And in my mind, I'm thinking this is it. Yeah, that I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am tore up. It's all settling now. I'm kind of realizing headaches and all that aren't there yet. I kind of go lay down in the ditch. I remember, man, I was laying on my back and I was at peace with it, if that's what was coming. I knew my boy was with my wife. I knew they were good. I knew my other children were, good and safe. And, I've been like this white thing back here that Tecumseh quote, sing your death song and die like a warrior going home. So I I was at peace. Medic shows up and looks at me. I
Jeez,
know him.
man.
And he goes, "Hey man, don't move. Your neck's broke." I'm like, "Say what?" So I blew
No
my
kidding. Okay.
C2, which
Wow.
apparently that's the one they break when they hang people. Yeah,
Yeah.
found that out later. I didn't know that at the time. I'm like, okay, C2, that's somewhere up here. And he's like, no, like for real. So we find out later on
Dang,
that
man.
neurologist is like, there's no medical explanation for why you're still here. Right. He's like,
Yeah.
there's just nothing. He's like,
Walk
there's no
around.
way with a broken neck
Yeah.
that you should have been able to turn, put your own tourniquet on, do all this stuff without dropping. Well, so
Mhm.
I rationalized it in my mind at this point, because at this point I'm
Yeah.
still running from the cross, right?
Yeah.
I'm a bad dude. I don't need nobody. I'm gonna do this all on my own. And so I rationalized it with tactical training,
Right.
plate to
Right.
threat. You just pivot. You don't turn your head. You put your plate to the front. So I'm like, obviously that's what I did. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. And so that starts a whole, man, right there at that point. That started a whole journey for me back. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm a mill and a half probably in medical, somewhere in that ballpark. So I started this journey. I had all this weird survivor guilt. It was a year before that. My buddy died in his car wreck. So I'm like, well, how come him and not me?
Yeah.
So I'm
Were you
bargaining and
angry at
dealing with
God?
God. I want
Okay.
answers.
When you
I'm
on
not
that
getting them.
scene, when you had that wreck, were you praying
Yeah,
or
yeah,
talking to him at
yeah.
all while you
I
were
was
laying
angry
there?
about a lot of things.
Okay. Didn't cross your mind? Okay.
Nah, nah. Not that I recall,
He
but I
was
do
he was with
remember. I
you.
do
Yeah,
remember
he was
looking
with
up at
you,
the
obviously.
clouds, and that brought me peace.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, 100%. I mean, right now, yeah.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
no explanation of why I
No, it
walked away
doesn't.
from that. I mean, and literally walked away from it. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know, a year and a half or so later, right at the beginning of COVID, I start having all these heart palpitations, and I'm like, man, I'm thinking I'm here at the house, I'm by myself, and they start happening, and I'm thinking like, like red pops, like it's a big one, Lamont. And because I'm so awesome and I don't need anybody, for a
Great idea.
second, I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna drive
great idea.
myself to the hospital because, you know, John Wayne, right? Yeah, yeah, terrible. Yeah. So I get in the car and almost start it and realize this is a bad idea. So I kind of stagger back into my house, still like, man, I am
Wow, dude.
freaking out.
That's crazy.
I'm looking at it on my watch. My heart rate's up in the 180s, you know. Yeah, like it's just all over the place. So I managed to get on the phone. I call 911. They fortunately know who I am when I call.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell them, I remember yelling, I'm a cop. I just wanted them to
Mhm.
hurry, because
Right.
I live in the middle of nowhere. I know it's gonna be 20 minutes before anybody gets here. I don't recall how long it took
Wow.
for them to get here, but they get here. Same medic and same dude from my wreck, who
Okay,
oddly
cool.
enough used to own a nightclub years and years ago, and I used to work off duty security for him. Yeah, so like he shows up and I'm like, oh man, he's like, what's going on? I don't know. It's bad, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what I said. I probably just said, because I was freaking out. They put me in the car or put me in the ambulance. We ride. The end of it, they can't figure it out. So we're like, I don't know.
Mhm.
We are going to send you to a cardiologist. They said it definitely wasn't a heart attack because, they can do that test and figure out, all that. So I'm like, all right, bet. I get to a doc. Again, this is the beginning of COVID. Everybody's getting shut down. Appointments that should take a week are taking months. So they're like, well, maybe it's new onset anxiety. And I'm like, I mean, whatever. I don't believe that, but okay, whatever. You're the doc. They put me on some anxiety meds. Nothing happens with that. I mean, I see this therapist, and I'll never forget. I go in there and I'm talking to this. She's like a 20-some-year-old, you know, clinical social worker, and I ain't even hardly got out of patrol days yet, and she's just mouth open, just mind blown. Just does not prepared to deal with our kind of people and the things that are just normal for us on Tuesday, right? Not prepared, and that's where, and I'd always been kind of optimistic. I had a bunch of military buddies that, they talk about their therapists and, hit and miss on experiences with the VA and all that. My dad had good experiences and bad with the VA, just like anything. But overall, for the most part, everybody kind of got
Mhm.
that, yeah, you've been through some stuff and we're gonna
Right.
we're gonna try and get you right. Now how we're gonna do that, whatever. But at least we're gonna try. So that was my thought until I'll never forget, man, sitting in that office, and I'm just like, and she's just looking at me, and I'm like, we ain't even got to the spicy stuff yet, you know? Like this is,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just talking about just run of the mill patrol
Yeah.
days, just Tuesday, bro, like nothing crazy, and that's where
Mhm.
it starts for me that like
Right.
we have to do something, and
Mhm.
we have to do it for us because ain't nobody else gonna do it, So that rocks on. I end up in the ER like 5 more times or something with these same episodes. We finally figure out later on that in the wreck, the best guess from the cardiologist was that I tore my slow pathway in the impact to my slow electrical pathway to my heart in the impact of the wreck. So they're trying to figure out when and
Dang.
how they can do that. There's one
Yeah.
option, hundred and some $1,000 surgery. I'm still coming off 1.5 million on medical, right?
Of course you did. Of course you
I got
did.
hit by the brokest dude on the planet that had nothing,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Again, remember the
Man.
ashes on the head? It's just the way it goes, man. So I'm like, what are we gonna do? So they recommend all this holistic stuff. So they're talking about Buddhism and meditation
Okay.
and Zen and breath work. So that's where it starts, right there.
Mhm.
So I started getting into meditation, prayer, whichever one you want to call it. Getting into breath work, doing all these vagal techniques
Mhm.
to learn how to drop my heart rate,
Right.
which is just box breathing for us tactical guys. It's just box breathing, same thing. So I'm doing that kind of stuff, which starts, of course, the more you meditate, the more you pray on things, the more introspective you get. So that kind of leads me back to the Bible here and there. So I'm reading the Bible. I'm reading some Dalai Lama stuff. I'm reading
Mm.
with the Samurai 5 rings or whatever. So
Mhm.
I'm reading all the samurai stuff. I'm just reading all this warrior kind of poet, trying to understand who I am and where I go. Now, at this time, I had left my specialized unit and I'm working with my department I'm with now with the state, which is a complete 180 from anything I've been used to for the longest time. Kind of, for the most part, pretty chill, kind of 9 to 5, a lot of paperwork, and I just do not know. And I'm not around,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
around some
totally.
good cops, don't get me wrong, but I'm not around my kind of good cops. That makes sense. So I'm dealing with this whole loss of tribe thing, and man, you leave a department, you might as well be dead because we are simultaneously the most
Yep. I
brotherhood
lived through
driven
that.
community and the most cannibalistic at the same time. Like we will eat, like we eat our own, and we do it. I mean, we do it out of survival because we don't want, you know,
Yeah.
if I point all my fingers at you and
Yeah, and
you're
as
not
soon as
looking at
that
me
badge
at the
comes
same
off,
stuff
you're
I'm
not their
dealing with,
buddy anymore.
I think that's why we do it, you know? Mm-mm, mm-mm. Oh, so I was dealing with this whole weird thing, and don't get me wrong, I'm still friends
Right.
with the guys that I used to work with and all that
Yep.
stuff, but we're not in the same circles anymore. You know, they're doing their thing, I'm doing mine. So that kind of starts it, man. I mean, it took a long time. 2020 to now. And in there, I've gone through all the things, man, the anger, the resentment, the bitterness. But it's funny, God puts me on this path without me realizing that I'm on this path. So my agency sends me to instructor school, right? I'll become an instructor. That's cool. I can do that. That's easy. Well, then they send me to, I'm a
That is
resiliency
cool.
instructor.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like I'm digging this.
Yeah.
And then I become a
Yeah.
peer counselor and I'm a CIT dude, crisis intervention guy. And all of that is just I finally realized, and this was not all that long ago, man. I mean, well, I finally realized it probably about a year ago. But it took me a minute to, pride comes before the fall, right? So so it took me a minute to backtrack on everything that I had, planted my flag in for the last several years. And but he was building this. And so one night I'm praying, doing my thing. Well, I'm not praying, I'm bargaining and I'm demanding answers. That's what I'm doing. But I said I would pray. So I'm telling him, hey, my life's good. My kids are healthy and happy. My wife's great. I got a house. I got a job. I got all that stuff. But I wasn't I wasn't
Yeah.
fulfilled, man. You know, I think that purpose
Mhm.
you talk about, that's that peace and that purpose. I had all the power. I'm a special agent. I can run all 159 counties in this state if I want to.
Mhm.
It wasn't that. I didn't have the peace, man, and it hadn't been there in a long time. So, um, that kind of starts my journey back. So in that bargaining I was doing with God, I'm like, I'm doing all this stuff. We're the blessed are the peacemakers. We're the right hand of God. We're out here doing your work, and I'm just a typical result of being exposed to all
Mhm.
this sin and the enemy all the time. What do you want me to do? Yeah, all I want is whatever. I don't even remember what it was, but all I want is what I want. Like, when's that
Yeah,
going to
no
happen?
doubt.
Well,
No doubt.
you want to make God laugh, tell him what your plan is, right?
Mm.
So I was trying to get God to
Mhm.
make my plan come true. Obviously, he was not having that, and I don't blame him. So that involves eventually I get to the point of complete and utter surrender, foot of the cross, man. You know, I'm just like, fine. Still a little contempt in my heart, but I'm like, fine.
I love I
Here
love
I
that
am.
scripture, yeah.
Send me, here I am, send me. We love that one, right? Yeah. But yeah, so
Mhm.
like here I am, send me wherever it is that you think I'm supposed to be at. Because I don't know what to do anymore. I'm checking all the boxes. I got all the society boxes. I've got all the training boxes. I've got all of that
Yeah.
stuff checked, and I'm just a shell of a dude. I'm just a guy looking for answers. And I think that one took. I think he finally was like, okay, I think this dude's on the right path. So it wasn't very long after that. I end up with a friend of mine who's actually a partner of mine in a company I'll talk about in a second. So my dog just opened the door. Uh, so she called me and invites me to be, or asked me if am interested in being on a board for a nonprofit called United to Prevent. And I'm like, what's that? She's like, well, it's focused on suicide prevention and mental health awareness. And I said,
Mhm.
yeah, I've got some experience in both of those. Yeah, I'd definitely be interested. So I come on the board very quickly. They kind of determined. So I am now the public safety liaison. So where we collectively are focused on all of this mental health and suicide awareness, I am focused on first responders and military and bringing awareness to our issues and
Just found your
being a guy that
purpose.
they can come talk to that has at least been in some similar situations.
Mhm.
Right, right. So, well, I'm headed that way. I'm headed that way. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. And so everybody on the board is Christian,
Mhm.
right? And at this point, I'm not,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
me and God are talking, but I wouldn't say I was Christian.
Right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? Like I'm not fully living in the light of the Lord. You know what I'm saying?
Huh, okay.
So that turns into an invitation to the church where I go to now. So I talk about it with my wife. My boy had actually went there one time a couple years ago for a summer camp
Mhm.
that I didn't even know that's where he
Right.
went because, I was too busy doing my own thing, battling my own stuff. And so I'm like, all right, cool, we'll go check it out. I walk into this church and I'm expecting the same church hurt you and I have talked about. I look like I look and I talk like I talk and
Yeah.
I might let out a
Yeah.
cuss
You're
word
doing
here and
good. You're
there
doing I'm proud of you. I'm
accidentally.
proud of you. You're
You
not
know,
cussing much. I'm
I'm
proud of
trying. I'm trying.
you.
I'm trying, but
I'm proud of you,
I'm
man.
trying.
Yeah.
I'm a sinner, and I deserve grace. And
Mhm.
so I kind of walk in there, and that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting I'm
Yeah, yeah,
expecting them
yeah.
to reject me, which will then prove to me that everything I think about church is right. And it doesn't, and it doesn't happen. They're just like, cool, what's
Nice.
up? And I'm sitting there, and then I
Very
realize
cool.
there's two other cops I know that go to church here. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, maybe. We'll see. So so we're going, and it's good. It's good. In all that, so my boy's going doing Sunday school. I got my best friend's a battalion chief for a fire department down here. That's I'll hit on that real quick. So that's a whole nother thing. We had known each other for 20 years,
It's
but
a
weren't
hose
friends.
dragger.
Obviously, he was a firefighter. Like cops don't hang out with firefighters, right?
No, no,
And I'm just saying we don't. Yeah, we don't historically, right? But one of the things that I had figured out, and I don't remember what podcast this was or something when I was doing
Mhm.
all my introspection, was one of the
Yeah.
things was you have to get out of your own crap. You've got to get out of
Yes,
your
you
circle.
are. Yes, you are.
You're the sum total of the people you surround yourself with, or whatever that quote is, right? And so I'm like, all right. Now at this point, 15 years, I've been hanging out with only specialized dudes. Like we're working with each
Mhm.
other 13, 14, 24 hours in a row. We're hanging out when we're off. Like we're at each other's kids'
Right.
birthday party. That's when I realized I wasn't turning it off. I never turned it off. It was just always go time. I was always amped. I mean, ask my wife, I'd bring her in here and she'd start laughing about it. We were going to go to the grocery store and I was packing a bailout bag. We're
Yeah,
driving
yeah,
across the country and I'm acting like we're going to do a full assault on a building. I got a
yeah.
trunk
Well,
loaded
it's
down with stuff,
ingrained in you, man. I mean, it's
which is
second
just
nature.
pure craziness. So, yeah, yeah. So I'm hitting this realization
Mhm.
point when my boy was young. Man, I probably need to change something. So I reach out to my buddy who I'd known. It was a firefighter, and found out like I knew his older kids were
Wow.
about the same as
No kidding.
mine. Matter of fact, my oldest daughter dated
Mhm.
his oldest son at one point in time, and so I knew that. But our two youngest boys are the same age. So from the
Oh, that's
time they were
a great movie,
about
man. Great movie.
3 or so, they have just they're like Tango and Cash, man. Chaos and pandemonium. Like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, I mean, and they are, dude. I call them chaos and pandemonium. Where you find one, you find the other. And so, so he and I start hanging out, and we realize that we have fulfilled the
Mhm.
need to be with another first responder that understands the way that I'm
Yeah.
going to think about things. But when he's off, he don't want to talk about
Rescuing
firefighter
cats out of
stuff or
trees.
painting fire hydrants or whatever it is they do all day, making calendars or whatever.
Making
Yeah,
calendars. That's
rescuing cats
awesome,
and all
dude.
that. I don't want to talk about making a shopping list for groceries or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, they do it
Matter of
here
fact,
too, man. Yeah, they do it here.
I'm not kidding, within the last 2 weeks, they just did calendars down here. A whole bunch of
No
them I know.
kidding, right? That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
that's great. I'm glad the taxpayers could fund that.
Yeah, yeah.
So he doesn't want to talk about fire stuff, and I don't want to talk about cop stuff. So we started hanging out, and for the first time in 20 some years, I got somebody that
Yeah.
understands my frame of reference, but we don't have to talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. It gets
And
you.
we're just doing life together, man, just being brothers. And
Mhm.
yeah, and I was like, man, this is all right. This is where it's at, dude. Like this is this is the spot.
Nice.
So
Nice. Making
my point
disciples.
in that is, I got him coming to church with me now too. So
It's awesome. I am too. No, I am too, man.
I am
I am
a
too.
textbook prodigal. You know. So so I'm back in church and I'm doing
Man.
college online. I'm working. I mean, I work 60 hours a week, easy. I travel about a third of the state for my job. So when I get up in the
Right.
morning, I might have to drive 2, 3 hours one way. It's just the way it is. So I'm doing all this stuff. And in all of that, so the board, the invitation to church, the wanting to do something for us to provide the closure and support that I feel that I didn't have when I went through stuff, maybe to be the
Mhm.
support that my buddies could have had and maybe chose a different path than what they chose. So that prompts the whole idea with this company.
Cool name too.
So I start my company, which is 59 Shield Group, by the
We'll
way.
plug it. We'll plug it on the
Go to
episode.
Etsy
I'll put it in the
and buy
footnotes.
my stuff. I'm trying
Where's my
to.
shirt, dude? I thought
I'm
you're gonna mail me
trying.
one.
Yeah, go buy it.
Oh,
Here's the
okay.
reason why I want you to buy it.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's there. I have a
Yeah, all good.
stack
All
of
good.
crap that I have to go mail, and again, middle of nowhere. So um
Mhm.
um
Yep.
so
Yep.
so that prompts the name for that, which is Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, right? And so I'm super in on that, and I'm like, cool, that's a
Mhm.
cool name. And then God starts working on me, man. So I'm trying to figure out a logo, right? But I'm wanting to be like the next nine line dude. I want to be a
Yeah. The
millionaire. I want to be in the Bahamas. I just want to have dudes wearing my stuff at the mall, where I don't have to worry about it. That's what that's what I want, right? So the idea comes to me and my logo comes to me and you've seen it. So it's the sword of the spirit, man. And I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
man, for real. Like this is me again bargaining because that's what I do. I run my mouth. Me and God I run my mouth to him a lot and he lets me know where I'm failing. So I'm like, I got to do this religious thing. I don't know how that's going to work. So then I decide that I'm going to do the olive branches because if God wants me to do this, then He is going to tell me what it needs to be. So I'm doing this. I'm doing this design. Looks pretty cool,
Mm. Yeah.
and He tells me to put a cross on it. Plain as day. There
Yeah.
ain't no
Yeah.
explaining that away as not cool guy moto stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
Mhm.
that's my testimony right there. That's my unspoken testimony to the world. So I put a cross on it.
Mhm.
The sword is at the right hand, where if I'm the tip of the spear or guys like me, whatever. I am no longer the tip of the spear. I'm somewhere back there. I'm probably the broken handle in the closet now. But so I do that and I come out with that logo and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, now I got to get it past the
Mhm.
LLC through the state, see if that works. So I punch
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
name. Of course, it goes first time. Nobody has it. I'm like, well, it must be meant to be. So I got this company and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come up with some designs. And I started a whole batch that's they're up for sale right now. And they're just kind of vague, a little bit. There's some crosses and stuff on there, but it's kind of And I'm like, I don't know, man. I need to come up with some more shirt designs. So in my mind, I sit down and I'm going to do some cool guy stuff. And every design from that point forward that I can come up with or all that I can think about is all very obvious religious, scripture based, tactical first responder messages. That is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to spread the word of God
Mhm.
to first responders in a context that we can understand. That's where I figured out that that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm like, cool, I got this company. The lady that invited me to be on the board is a therapist and owns her own practice, got several therapists working for her. And she's like, I kind of like what you're doing. I said, well, I had this idea about an offshoot. I think I want to call it Project 5-9. She's like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I think I want to just get first responders
Yeah.
together. It's kind of like
Right.
I don't know,
Right.
to do something other than first responder stuff. I don't know, go paddle down a river or something. I don't know. I was like,
Mhm.
so that way we can start talking to each other while we're out away from our normal day to day thing. She's like, well, what if we do it and we raise funds
Mm. That's
and we get the
awesome.
board to
That is
back it
awesome, man.
and we provide free counseling to first responders? And I was like, okay, and I have no idea how the counseling world works or, the ins and outs of that. I'm just a knuckle dragging caveman sitting on a board with all these, members of a board. And, so we're talking and they're like, yeah, we'll make a pocket. United to Prevent now pretty much has a pocket specifically for first responders. And so what we're going to do is here locally, especially, um, First responder comes to us and says, "Hey, I think I need some counseling. I need some help. I'm drinking too much. I'm doing whatever." We're going to hand them a scholarship, right? So we're going to hand them 6 sessions. So 3 with a counselor and 3 with me as a peer counselor. Because I've been a peer counselor for a while. Because, as a cop, a firefighter, a military dude, whatever, EAP checks all the boxes. But to get a EAP, you got to go talk to your boss first.
Yeah.
It's none of their business. I mean, it's none of their business. It's just, don't get me wrong. You're wearing like a skin mask and your family's
Yeah.
buried
Yeah.
under a trailer somewhere. Like, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that. But 90% of our problems are job related. It's all job related. So if we can remove that and step away from
Hmm.
the job and talk with somebody that gets it, but is not involved in our job, generally speaking,
Well, and they're
we
going to
come
talk
to
about you
the
too within that
conclusion that we need
department.
to
If
do.
someone doesn't like
We
you,
come
or
to the
they're going to,
solution for our
it's going to
problem.
get around. It's like high school. It's going to be gossip. Yeah, you're going to be shamed. Yeah, you're going to be shamed. So
Quick, man, fast, like wildfire. Yeah. And I know
yeah,
because I've
yeah.
been the guy 20 years ago that said it. We can't handle it, blah, blah. No, and the whole time it was working on me, and it just,
Hmm.
PTSD or PTS. It's not a disorder. It's just post-traumatic stress, right? It's cumulative. You don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's coming. You can only put so much. We have a saying we did in resiliency class. We call it our barf bag. So it's bitterness, anger, resentment, and fear. So you can only shove so much of that in your bag before it's spilling out all over you. It's like you don't, what's that?
Yeah, but yeah, yeah,
You don't
yeah.
heal the cut. You're gonna bleed on people that didn't cut you or whatever that is. Same kind of thing. So we decided, you know
Hmm.
what? If we can remove that whole obstacle, I don't want you to go talk to your department. She's a professional
Hmm.
20-some-year therapist. She'll decide if you need to talk to your department or not, or if this is something from the brain science side that is just, yeah, we can handle that. So we said, well, if we can remove that whole boundary, the whole obstacle to getting help, and I can come talk to a guy like me that's been there and done all the things they've done.
Yeah, that's incredible. You guys
I
are doing
promise
that.
you,
I
I
mean,
can
that's
relate to
awesome. That's an
whatever it
awesome
is you're going
resource.
through. I've probably been involved in it.
Okay,
So that's yeah. So
you're
that's
supporting
kind of
and
the idea for that. So
yeah.
the point is, if you buy this stuff, options of
Nice.
every one of these that
Okay.
I am donating back to the nonprofit
Yeah.
to
Very
personally
cool, man.
funding,
Very cool.
that's kind of what we're doing in that
Okay.
regard. So I'm starting that company. I'm doing that. God's pushing me. Everything's on me. He's heavy on me. So I'm having a conversation with a firefighter buddy of mine,
Okay.
different one,
One of these
and
days, yeah.
we're talking about the bracelets that
I
I'm
want
going to
to
mail
drive
you
down there.
one of these days. So this is
Yeah.
9 o'clock at night. Yeah, we're meeting in the middle somewhere. So 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday. I'd been home from church doing some stuff. He comes over and we're talking. And I'm like, yeah, man, God's heavy on me. I think I need to do something with first responders. I don't know what. Like we're kind of in the founding stages of this thing that I'm doing now. I said, but it's just heavy. Something needs to be done for us. And he was picking up a bunch of these bracelets for his guys at the fire station. And I said, well, give me the names of those guys and numbers, and maybe we'll start like a test group or something. I said, we need to do something. Next morning, my pastor calls me, who I have not had more than probably a 2-minute conversation with her ever. So she calls. She's like, hey, I was praying about some things last night at the same time I was talking to my dude. And I woke up this morning and God wants me to ask you 2 questions. What? That's heavy. Like, that's heavy. So, okay, shoot. What you got? She's like, I don't even know how this would work. I don't even know of one. But do you have any interest in doing like a life group for, I don't know, like just first responders?
Hmm.
You know, like it was like she was on my porch the night before, but she wasn't. And I'm like, man, that's yes, I do. So I start running this community group, life group, whatever. Her next
Mm,
question was, do you have any interest in being in ministry? And I said, no, yes, I don't, I don't know. I said, if you'd have asked me this question a year
yeah.
ago, I'd have told you with a bunch of cuss words in front of it. No, I said, but I did just tell my wife not 2 weeks ago in a conversation we were having. I said, I think God wants me to go into ministry. She snapped her head around. She's like, what? I said, I know, right? Right? I got it. She's like, well, have you ever thought about doing that? And I said, mm-mm, mm-mm,
Yeah.
not at all. I tell people all the time, I'm somewhere between Saul and Paul. You know what I mean? Somewhere in the middle. I think I'm on the blinded on the road to Damascus part right now. So, so I'm like, I mean, maybe. I said, let me
Yeah.
roll that around
Major
and pray
decision.
on that because that seems like a big decision. But she's like, well, I don't talk about it a whole lot. She's like, but we have classes we can do here. It's not like I'm asking you to go get a master's from some Bible college or whatever. She's
Yeah.
like, but we have
Yeah.
classes we can do here towards ordainment. I didn't even know how it works. You know what I mean? 20 years ago, as a joke, I signed up for $35 to be an ordained minister because I thought it would be funny to have a clergy parking pass hanging
That's
from my rear
funny.
view. Right,
Yeah.
right. Um, so
Hmm.
that's where I was at.
Yep.
You know, decisions you make when you're knee deep in alcohol and the wrong group. So I'm like, let me roll that around. So I'm kind of praying on it, and I'm seeking some counsel and some advice from some other first responders I know that are in church. A couple of them are pastors. Well, I find out one of my old partners, we were fugitive together.
That is crazy.
He became a minister like 6 months ago. Easy. Had no idea. My partner that took the round in the hand, I reach out to him because he's off somewhere else in Georgia. So we kind of reconnect every 6, 9 months on the phone kind of thing. I reach out to him and kind of tell him what, I kind of got this feeling. He'd been back involved in church for like 2 years. And like, I've been praying for you heavy, man. I think you should do it. I'm like, whatever. And everybody I
Yeah. Yeah.
ask saying the same thing. But these are people telling me this, so I can rationalize it. Yeah, I'm like, they don't know what they're talking about. So I pray on it, man, and I pray on it, and I pray on it, and I pray 8 different ways about it, and every answer is like, you know, are you not listening?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
tired of telling you, bro. Like, I'm like Peter in the boat, man. You sure you don't want one of these other dudes over here? Like you're talking to
Yep.
me. And he's like, I said, get your butt out here on the water, bro. But I'm like, I don't know about that. But so all that being said, yeah. So I'm in the process to do all that, and we'll kind of see where that goes. But in all of that, that's where we met. You know, I have been thrown into this whole other circle
Well,
of like-minded dudes just trying to do right by Christ,
let
man,
me hit on this
and
real
trying to
quick,
bring other
man.
men,
So I had a
bring the better
conversation today
part out of other men
with
for
my
Christ.
girl, and she had a good point. And a lot of us, especially those of us that have worked in a job like a first responder, military role, we don't really fit in when it comes to a normal church. And what I can tell that you're passionate about what you do. You're passionate about the Lord. And
Nah, man.
what I see from my perspective is you've done a really cool job. You've got tattoos. You skateboard. You're into punk rock. I mean, you're into different things than most dudes that grew up and then they go into ministry, right? You're more relatable, in my opinion, to someone who doesn't feel worthy of Christ, that hasn't grown up in a church or doesn't know what it's like to experience Jesus. If you have a testimony just alone from that wreck that you had, you shouldn't have survived it, but you did. And there's a reason God kept you here. And so what I'm seeing, the lens I have is you've got a platform to spread the gospel to men that may look at it as, hey, that's not for me, or I don't belong to that group. And what you said earlier, how we met, I'm continuing to meet other men, but of all things, which is crazy to me, social media, that are like you and me, that don't fit in to a normal church because they don't have a brotherhood. They don't
Right?
have that
Yeah,
group of men
yeah,
they can
yeah.
feel comfortable with. Man, I think it's outstanding that you are answering the call from God and you have submitted and just said, okay, this is out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to roll with it because it's God's will, not my will.
Man, I am so far out of my comfort zone. But over and over and over in Scripture, right?
Yeah.
It talks about faith. We're walking by faith. So I have to trust. I'm trusting
Amen.
God that the direction he's sending me in is the direction he wants me to go in. And wherever that is, I told my wife not all that long ago, I told her, I said, listen, I have no idea what this means. If he wants me to
Hmm.
sell my house and, whatever, that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if that means quitting my job after 25 years and doing whatever, I have no idea how that's going to work, but we're going to do it. So in that, one of the first times we talked, I didn't tell you this, but so I got done and I'm kind of praying, sitting in here in my office. One of the Bibles I used, one of the ones my parents got me when I was a teenager, right? That's my desk Bible. So I kind of flip it open and I'm kind of reading Galatians 6:2, man. That's what
Wow.
pops up. So bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
That's what we're doing. That's what this is. And
Mm-mm.
I'm like, because
No, we're not.
we're not designed to do this alone. We're just not. We're designed to follow and depend on God, and
Make
we're designed
disciples.
to have our tribe and our brotherhood and bring as many of us as we can on this journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can't think of a better group of dudes than all of us. I mean, we have got to quit holding
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to a
Mm-hmm.
version that we think we should be as a first responder that doesn't exist. Like we already know, like we talked about, we're cannibalistic. None of that matters. None of that
Mm-hmm.
matters. The only thing that
Yeah.
matters is, are you going to follow Christ?
Right.
That's it. And are you going to bring as many people as you can with you? And we don't leave people behind. Like we're not designed to do that. So I want to get as many of us as possible to just fellowship, be there for each other,
Mm-hmm.
support each other,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
not just when it's cool, not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because we're on a podcast. At 2 in the morning when it's heavy, all of that, and that is completely uncomfortable and against anything that I've
Yeah.
historically done. But I think it's 100% needed, man. And like you said, we keep falling into these other groups, and it is apparent that there is a spiritual revolution happening amongst our kind of
Yeah.
people right now,
Well,
and
something you said earlier, and it made me
and
think of
it's
this.
our
I
job
heard
to
this in a
further it,
sermon
you
several
know?
months ago, and the
So,
preacher said, "Are you a fan of Jesus or are you a follower of Jesus?" Because Jesus has a lot of fans, but a follower is gonna submit, and that you have definitely submitted because of the mission that you're on,
right.
and that you are helping other men, women alike that are in roles where they may not feel like they're part of that church crowd. And I think that's admirable, man. That is really cool to see you doing that. And I got your back, man. 100% support your mission. And I'm so glad we were able to connect and get to know each other and get you in front of more people and just continue to stay the course, man. Just to keep fighting the fight.
Well, yeah, man.
Thank
Well,
you.
you're a brother and a
Yeah,
mentor to me, and I mean that. You know, I'm gonna
nice.
be leaning on you with some other things I got kind of planned, and uh, and I
Mm-mm.
think this is where we are supposed to be. I think God doesn't do anything by accident,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah. I've
think
been looking for a guy like you,
truly
man.
that He put us together in this fight. I actually made a joke to my wife last
Nice.
night.
Nice.
I said,
That's
I'm gonna tell
awesome.
him that he needs to call this podcast the Sons of Thunder. She's like, what are you talking about? Like James and John, man.
Travis, tell us more where we
Yep.
can learn
So
about
yep.
your company and the mission that you're doing right now. So if there's some men out there that need some resources or just need a brotherhood and want to find some people to connect with, can you share that information with us? And I'll put it in the notes for the episode here on YouTube.
Yeah, so my 5'9" Shield group, you type that into TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you'll come across me. All of those pages are monitored solely only by me. I don't have anybody else reading anything that's in there. So if we get heavy, I'm bound by law as a peer counselor to not talk about it. Just FYI. So nobody else has access to it. So you're talking straight to me. If you need it, I will give you my cell phone number in there. You can call me directly. And then the partnership that I'm in with Project 59 is through Inspire with an E, Inspire Counseling and Wellness.com. And it's / Project 59. You can go to that website for the counseling office and see kind of what we're about. I do have a web page being built right now that's going to end up having some
Awesome.
resilience tips and a newsletter and some of that kind of stuff going. And then if you want to buy some cool stuff, I have a Etsy shop that's
Okay.
5'9" Shield Group. So you can go
Nice.
there. There's shirts and stickers,
Yeah.
stuff
And I'll
like that.
share I'll share all that.
That's
Nice.
and that's where to
Well,
get me.
Travis, man, this was an incredible episode. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join me tonight, and it's an honor to call you a brother in Christ, man. And for the audience out there, Travis was baptized along with his wife and son this past Sunday. So, brother, congratulations! That was amazing to see that online. You are a true man of God, and you're setting a good example. And I know I'm gonna say this: neither one of us are perfect. We're both sinners. We're not righteous, but we're just doing our own little piece here and part here to spread the gospel of Christ. And I'm honored to call you a friend, man.
Yeah.
You wanna
Same
you
to
wanna
you,
close us
brother.
out with a
Same to you.
prayer?
Yeah, man. Father God, I thank you for this time with many people as possible. I thank you for all of your direction and guidance. I pray that you keep your hand and hedge of protection around every first responder and military veteran that's out there on the job right now. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
And if you'd like to learn more about Travis, make sure to check out the links in this episode. And please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Take care and God bless. Travis, good to see you, brother. I appreciate your time, man. All right,
All
brother.
right, man. Later.